Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time on JoJo, we had Under a Sky That Could Come Falling at Any Moment. Stop with the really long titles. It's really hard to put into a YouTube title, alright? Anywho. Let's see. The boss was able to kill Risotto because, while Risotto took control of Lil Bomber using Metallic, the boss used Emperor Crimson to get out of time, and then Risotto was the one who got shot and died. Then the gang was split up while Abacchio was trying to rewind Moody Jazz far enough to get the image of the boss. However, the boss managed to sneak up on him, and he killed him. Just straight up, Abacchio is dead. But at the last second, Abacchio was able to imprint the image of the boss into some stone. So they at least know, they at least got what they were looking for. But yeah, Abacchio is dead, so yeah. That's pretty much that. So, with that, like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go. We go up, Double D. Up. But the problem is, Kevin's coming down the driveway. It's Polnareff. It's Polnareff. Let's all face the facts. It's Polnareff. I know that voice a million miles away. That's fucking... It's Jean-Pierre Polnareff. Fuck. I mean, I like Polnareff. I know I had some issues in part 3, but I like Polnareff. What a way to bookend, though. Start with Koichi and end with Polnareff. That's a good way of making me say fuck this, but... No, I still like this part. We also got a name. Diavolo. Alright, I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was pronounced Diavolo. And Diavolo sounds a bit better anyway. That's okay. Diavolo it is. But you will excuse me if I go back and forth between Diavolo and Diavolo. Okay. So a lot to unpack in this. I guess, okay, here's at least one good thing about Chocolata and Seiko. No, that it can't be Seiko. Wasn't that like the name that Holly Joestar was saying? It's like, oh, that's what my friends call me because it means Holly in Japanese or something. So that can't be fully right. I don't know. I mean, the good thing about them is that this kind of it gets us back to what we've been doing of, you know, stand fights, mafiosos. Even though, why does Diavolo? Why did he keep this guy? Why did he bring him in? Just in case? Is that it? So stands. I don't know if you needed to go into this. I don't know that you needed to go into stands coming from the arrow, but whatever. But, okay, so... You know how Avdol was like, hey, stands are a manifestation of one's own, like, I guess life energy or a manifestation of their soul? Alright. Now take that explanation, throw it out the friggin' window. They're from a virus. A meteorite found a meteorite, contracted some bacteria or something in space, landed on Earth, and infected multiple people with a virus. 2 of them died. The other one lived and gained a power. However, whereas this is, a virus. This is like a sci-fi plot. It's about a virus from space that infects people, and then it gives them a buff guy that punches things. Now, granted, that's not fully it, because not everybody gets their stand like that. Most notably, the Joestars, their stand, they have no interaction with the stand arrow. Dio did. Dio was hit with the arrow and thus got his stand, and because of his connection to the Joestar bloodline through Jonathan Joestar, the Joestars, all the way to now Giorno, got a stand. In a similar manner, Trish has a stand because her father, Diavolo, has a stand. They have not come into contact with this virus. And you can't say that, well, Diavolo had the virus and then he had a child. It passed on to the child. Because Jonathan Joestar would have never had this virus until Dio pierced the body with the arrow 100 years later, and all the Joestars born before he was pierced and after he was pierced still garnered a stand. Now, granted, you could make the virus, the inherited virus argument with Giorno, because I'm presuming Giorno was born after, well, it had to have been after Dio gained the world. But, I mean, I guess it's the Fantastic Four. But instead of becoming really stretchy, you get a buff dude that punches things. You didn't need to do this, but you have. And here we are. And so the arrows are all made from the meteorite by the old man who wanted the power of gods. And through natural selection, it chooses a stand. It chooses a stand user. But there's a hidden power to the stand arrow, which we've technically already seen, because we've seen someone who was a stand user get pierced by the arrow again, and that was Yoshikage Kira. Kira was pierced by the stand arrow again and gained a new ability, Bites the Dust. So, I'm assuming that is, we tested the waters with that with Kira, and now we're going to do that again, where I guess Polnareff has the arrow, and he's going to give someone a new stand power. Presumably, I would assume Giorno, as he is the main character, and he will use that to defeat Emperor Crimson and Diavolo. Really doesn't sound as good as Diavolo, but whatever. Okay. And Polnareff is here, involved in all of this because he's from the neighboring country? Because France borders Italy? And all of this that ties to vampires, which ties to vampire gods, which ties to stands, which now tie to a meteorite, which tie to Polnareff, which tie to the Stardust Crusaders, which we heard the Stardust Crusaders theme again, which was pretty cool. Well, I guess just Jotaro's theme again, which is pretty cool. All of this is in a mafia story. Because that's what Golden Wind is. Or Vento Oro, or whatever you want to say. It's a mafia story. And I thought the boss was complicated. None of this has anything to do with why the boss is older than he looks while also having a dual personality, a miraculous birth, keeping his mother alive under the floorboards, and has 2 powers himself, and is 1/2 Diavolo and the other half Doppio. And then on top of that, here's a serial killer. On top of all of that, here's a serial killer whose stand power is if you move down, you're attacked by a fungus. I mean, I feel like Dark Helmet in Spaceballs just did. Everybody get that? Oh my god. We got lore in this episode. We got lore, not just about the boss, but about stands. We know. Okay, but here's a problem. So this explains how the arrows can give stands to certain people. What about the people who are born with stands? Because we have at least 3 instances of that, if not more. And their names are Muhammad Avdal, Noriaki Kakyoin, and Jean-Pierre Polnareff. All 3 of whom were born with their stands. And many other examples. And specifically, we know too, because it's not a matter of inheritance, because Kakyoin, he said that he was, growing up, he was the only person who could see Hierophant green. So his parents didn't have stands. It's not like they were pierced. So how did that happen? How the hell did that happen? And eventually, these arrows ended up with Keicho Nijimura, Yoshihiro Kira, and Inyaba. Oh, and also there's a serial killer in this episode. Just for good measure, we want to put a serial killer in, too. Like, someone who shouldn't be part of the Passione, but here they are. Okay. That was a lot. That was a lot to take in. Yeah. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, okay. Here's the thing. I am not opposed to this. Now, this does feel a little bit like Legend of Korra when they explain, like, oh, all bending comes from the lion turtles, and here's the first avatar and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. Or, I don't want to have to say this, but this feels a tad, just a tad, like midichlorians. It's the midichlorians in the blood that let you use the Force, or they're attracted to the Force. I don't even know how midichlorians work, you know? But yeah, here's a virus that grants people ghosts that can punch things. Here's a virus that can give a cowboy a gun that he can summon. Here's a virus that can give a man a flaming chicken. Here's a virus that can give someone the power to stop time, to rewind time, to destroy time. Here's a virus that gave this kid a toy airplane that shoots people. Here's a virus that gave a guy the power of zippers. Here's a virus that let a dude summon a lock. Here's a virus that gave a man the power to turn people into books. Here is a virus that gave a monkey a boat. I guarantee this was only thought of now. Maybe I'll give some credit at the beginning of part 5, but if it were done any sooner, the stand arrows were never introduced in part 3 at all. There were just stands and that was it. It was only after Dio died that they explained how he got a stand. And B, because this was never mentioned in part 4, that leads me to believe this plotline, the origin of stands, this was not made until now. This was never planned. But for some reason, Araki was like, you know what? I gotta give an explanation for these. No, you don't. Now, is it game breaking? Is it show breaking? Is it lore breaking? No, because stands were stupid enough to begin with that it's like, oh, their origin's kind of stupid too. Yeah, I guess. Remember Hamon? Remember when there was just another species of people that then someone became the vampire of their species and became the Pillarmen? And then after that, they created vampires. And so people figured out how to replicate. They figured out how to replicate the energy of the sun. Space virus. Not about the sunlight magic, but space virus. That's what made the power system here. I mean, I guess it was already... I guess the good news is that they kind of eased us into this because they gave us the arrows, and the arrows do sort of ease you into how absurd the origin of stands can be. So it's not lore breaking. It's just kind of dumb and kind of weird. In a series that started with vampires, which is a traditional classic horror archetype, and sunlight magic, sunlight powers that at the very least are a take on a classical vampire weakness that, granted, was only established, I believe, 100 years ago in the Nosferatu movie. I think that's the first time that it's shown that a vampire is weak to sunlight, and that has become such a staple of vampires, But yeah, but after that, so you have vampires and the new take on vampires with the mask and everything, and you have Hamon, which is an interesting take on the sunlight weakness of vampires. Throw that all out because space viruses make monkey boats. And also, there's a serial killer. I like, though, that even the boss is like, okay, I'm relying on Chocolata to kill them. But Doppio, you're going to have to then stop Chocolata so that he won't be, let loose on Rome, which is interesting. So yeah, there's no point in continuing this talk. I've said my piece. It's not game breaking. It's just kind of weird. But we move on. We move on. God, that was a lot to take in. Also, Polnareff is back. Dear God. It's the return of the French. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.